Steve Smith and Janie Brown were at the Midwest Truckers Association annual convention here in Peoria. And one of the things I'm told that the trucking industry is really key on is finding new drivers, because we have so many of the baby boom generation drivers retiring. And a lot of times people are going into school, they're taking on debt and to go to college, and maybe they're not even thinking about what kind of money they could make and have an education in driving. So I think that's what you all do. Why don't you tell us, what is it you do to get someone to be a driver, and what kind of time is involved, what kind of cost is involved, and if you know, what kind of salaries can they make when they graduate?
Well, to begin with, we start, it's a 4-week, typically a 4-week course. The state of Illinois requires that you have 160 hours, so it's 40 hours a week for 4 weeks. And we spend a week in the classroom getting them ready to take their permit test. They've got to have a permit before they can actually step onto the yard and get into a truck. So they have that week in the classroom, and then they get the permit, they come to the yard, and that's where I take over. And we teach them how to do a pre-trip inspection on the truck, which they'll be tested on. We teach them how to do some different maneuvers with the truck that they'll also be tested on. And of course, we take them out on the road, and we want to make them familiar with how to shift the truck, how to turn, how to brake. All very, very different. Most people are really shocked at how much different it is to get in that vehicle and drive it, as opposed to just driving their car down the road. So it's a real eye-opener.
What are some of the big differences? Almost everyone's familiar with driving cars or even SUVs, but when you get in a truck, why is it different?
The same things that we preach religiously over and over and over. It takes way longer to stop. It's much slower, so it takes a lot longer to accelerate. It takes a lot more room to turn, to do any maneuver at all. It just requires a lot more thought,
skill,
a lot more time, more skill. It's just very, very different from your regular car.
So you have to probably think ahead a bit more, anticipate a bit more than maybe you do, because it's, as you say, it's kind of the difference between a motorboat or an aircraft carrier.
Exactly, exactly. My students, probably one of the biggest things that I really struggle with is teaching them how to be more observant, how to look further ahead, how to use their mirrors, and just how to be alert as to everything that's happening around them. We commonly say in the trucking industry that you have to drive for everyone else because they refuse to. And there's a lot of truth to that. You must be aware of everything that's happening around you. You can't let something take you by surprise and then have to react, because you're not going to be able to.
So the entire time it would take to go through your course is how long?
Should be 4 weeks. Should be 4 weeks. Sometimes, you know, people take their test, they have test anxiety, maybe they just haven't picked it up or studied as much, and if they fail the test, we keep them in school, and we do everything we can to make sure that they get their license the first time. If they don't, we take them around again, just to make sure that they do get their license.
Is that the Secretary of State's office, just as we normally do, go to a driver's license? Probably, is it probably a special location, I guess, or is it any location?
Actually, they go to the Secretary of State, to the DMV, to take their permit test, their written test. Once they have that permit in their pocket and they come to the yard to work with me, we actually are very fortunate. We get to test at our own facility. So wherever your yard is around the state that you're doing your practicing with, they come on site. Yep. They come on site to us at our facility, and they test you right where you've practiced your skills every day.
Janie, Janie Brown, you're with the organization. You know, I'm kind of curious, actually, whether it's you or anyone else, or you or Steve here. Do women also, are they entering the field, and to what extent? And tell us what kind of income. I mean, I think that's why people, they hear they can make good money being a driver. Let's talk about the income and what kind of people are entering the field, what ages, what genders.
Basically, we have more male dominant at this given time, but we're trying to get females more and more involved. We just enrolled our first student in Springfield, Illinois that was a female, and she is getting permit tested currently, and she's going to be out in the yard with Steve hopefully the following week.
What kind of age group are we looking at? There might be, you know, a lot of times we're thinking of 20-somethings getting out of high school and entering, but maybe there's someone who's middle-aged and wants to get into business, and they can get a bump in income. Are you getting all sorts of people across the age spectrum?
Yes, we absolutely are. We get, the range is really 18 to even probably 65, 70, because what has happened is retirees are looking to supplement their income. So truck driving is a perfect example where you can supplement your income. If you do it full time, you can make anywhere between 45 to 75 upward. If you want to do it part time, that's pretty much up to you. You're your own boss, so you can kind of set your schedule and your pay.
And you don't have to have your own truck. Normally, I guess companies are hiring drivers. They provide the truck. Right?
They provide the equipment, yeah. There are people that, like myself, for instance, I never wanted to lease my own truck. People buy their trucks, people lease their trucks, and then there are company drivers. And I would say, by and large, the majority of drivers are company drivers. Relieves you the responsibility of having to pay that $1,000 to fill your fuel tank.
Right.
It relieves you of having to take care of the truck when it breaks down. My truck broke down, get me another truck. If you're an owner-operator, it's a little more difficult. But there are pluses to being an owner-operator as well. You can choose your own freight, you can haul your own freight, you can go where you want to go. Typically there is more money involved, but then you're the business owner, so you have all the responsibilities that come with that as well. Yeah.
I would think you're online. If people are watching this anywhere in the country and they wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
If they wanted to get a hold of me, probably the easiest way would be an email, which is just smith@160drivingacademy.com, and be more than happy to take on any kind of questions or issues that somebody would want to talk about.
Are you located solely in Illinois or in other areas?
Our school is in Springfield. 160, the organization as a whole, is actually coast to coast. I don't know if you can get a view of the map behind us. That's our locations. We were 7 schools when I started with the company a few years ago. We're over 40 schools now, and we just continue to grow.
And we all are familiar going down the highway and seeing trucks, but it's not to say that being a truck driver necessarily means that you have to be over the road and away from your family for a week at a time. What kind of job opportunities are there, Janie, in the industry?
Yeah, there's lots of job opportunities. You can get dedicated routes, you can get local, or you can do over the road, depending on what you would prefer for your family or whatever your best needs. So, yeah, there's just all kinds of opportunities out there now. The trucking industry is growing rapidly. It's one of the fastest growing industries currently.
And when we talk about different ages, different genders, the women and men, do you have to be strong? Is it physically demanding to drive a truck?
It's more mentally demanding. In days past, we didn't have power steering. Trucks were a lot less friendly than they are now. We have power steering. We have trucks that are a lot of automatics in the industry now. They're air conditioned, they're air ride, they ride very, very nice. I've ridden in trucks that drive like a Cadillac. It's very, very comfortable.
So you're not necessarily always bouncing up and down.
Right. No real requirement of any kind as far as any type of strength. It's a skill that you're going to develop over time. But we see more and more women that are entering the industry, and I think it's just because it's a great income. I tell my students all the time, as long as you have a CDL in your pocket, you're never unemployed unless you choose to be.
And that was what I was going to say. You say about a month to go through your school. How many of your graduates get jobs?
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Because there's such a shortage, such a demand?
There's a huge demand. There is definitely a shortage. There's going to continue to be a shortage. We have a lot of people that are still retiring. We have, for all the people that go through school, it's just like any industry. That people they're going to dip their toe in the water, and they're going to find out whether they like it or not. If they don't, they're going to bail out. So there's always this need. And honestly, I don't know of any other industry where you can get 30 days of training and make that kind of money. I don't.
Well, we appreciate you joining us on the Illinois Channel, and good luck to you, and hopefully America will keep on trucking.
I hope so. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.